Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and let me congratulate you on taking the gavel of this committee and for your past leadership here in the Commerce Committee on a myriad of important issues. You mentioned several of them: communications, fisheries, oceans issues. I didn't quite hear shipbuilding, but I'm sure it's a high priority for the people of your state and for our nation as well. I know my colleague, Senator Sullivan, and I will be a constant pest on building a Arctic fleet for the future and recapitalization of the many assets that the Coast Guard needs. But we thank you for your leadership on many of those issues and look forward to working with you in your capacity as chair of this committee. I also look forward to helping to tackle many of the issues that you just mentioned, but before I start, I just want to point out the number of employees that this committee does have oversight over: the 55,000 TSA workers who are working without pay and the 400 NTSB employees who are currently furloughed and many others who were involved in the government shutdown. So I hope one of the things that we can get working on is how we get our government back open. I also, too, want to thank Chairman Thune and former Ranking Member Nelson for their leadership on this committee. Obviously, the hard work that it took to get an FAA bill to basically get the reauthorization of the Coast Guard legislation and the important upgrade to TSA security were all landmark pieces of legislation passed by this committee in the last Congress, and I want to congratulate them and thank them for their hard work on that. I also look forward to working with Senator Thune as the new subcommittee chair on communications, and want to just mention I do thank Senator Nelson for his great leadership on the space program and his continued focus on fighting offshore drilling. I certainly look forward to working with our colleague from Texas on his chairmanship of the Space and Aviation Committee as well. As the chairman mentioned, we have new members to the committee, and I want to introduce and thank the committee members on our side. I actually think totally, Mr. Chairman, I think we have a record number of women serving on a Senate committee, so I'm very proud that we have so many women. Hopefully we'll put our imprimatur on what we think the economy of the future looks like and what we need to do. But I want to welcome Senator Sinema to the committee. Obviously, Senator McCain was a long-standing member and former chair of this committee, but Senator Sinema brings a very big consumer advocacy and technology focus to this committee, working on both cyber and technology privacy issues in the House. And we welcome her to the committee. And I also want to welcome Senator Rosen to the committee, who, if the Senate ever needed a true coder, sometimes people call me the high-tech senator, but I guarantee you are now meeting the true high-tech senator who knows several languages in coding, and her strength and knowledge coming to the United States Senate on workforce and STEM issues is just going to be a great reward. I, too, welcome the new Republican members as well, Senator Scott and Senator Blackburn. As you said, Mr. Chairman, the committee has had a long record of working together in a bipartisan fashion. You mentioned many of those things that we have to tackle: investing in infrastructure, strengthening cybersecurity, expanding rural broadband, boosting commercial space, continuing our aviation modernization, protecting consumer privacy and data, addressing oceans and fisheries and climate change issues, working on America's competitiveness, as this committee has often done, to meet the challenges of an international marketplace. And we believe that the economy of the future is one that we need to invest in, whether it is science, R&D, or skilling a workforce. But we also believe that we have to protect consumers, particularly in the area of privacies and product, nor do we want to shy away from those. No matter what the name of a subcommittee is, we're going to continue to focus on that consumer advocacy. So I look forward to working with all members of the committee on both sides of the aisle on these important issues. I would be remiss, though, if I did not mention one of my predecessors from this committee, Senator Warren Magnuson. Senator Magnuson from the state of Washington served as the chairman of this committee for 23 years. So hard to understate the significance or importance of this. Senator Magnuson, in those 23 years, helped shepherd changes to the 1964 Civil Rights Act, Section 2, helped for the first ever label warning on cigarettes for the dangers of tobacco, helped with many of our colleagues, introduce the recognition that automobile manufacturers had to report defects, and many, many other things, including the very important work he did with Senator Stevens on the creation of the Magnuson-Stevenson Act that really did save the American fishing industry and create it into a multi-billion-dollar sustainable industry that we have today. So I thank my colleagues for allowing me to make those remarks. Again, Mr. Chairman, I'm excited to work with you as you take the gavel of this committee and look forward to a productive few years here of what we can accomplish for the people of the United States of America.